Yes, so dear students, we'll go to the next topic here. As like proteins, we have fats also in our diet, and these fats we're taking in a very less proportion compared to the carbohydrates, but this intake of fats is definitely there, right? And these fats are performing various functions like proteins in our body. Now what are these functions? The first function is what? It gives us the concentrated source of energy. As I told you, 1 gram of fats will gives us 9 kilocalories of energy. Now this fats are also very much essential for the absorption of fat soluble vitamins. Now, what are fat soluble vitamins? In the next slide, we are going to discuss about that fat soluble vitamins. So, these vitamins will be absorbed in our blood in the body, and they will be performing the necessary functions only there are fats in the body. These fats insulate our body from extreme temperatures. Like in a severe cold, we get protection because beneath the skin we have a lipids layer, and that insulates our body, that gives protection from the severe cold. Simultaneously, in the summer season, we are sweating and trying to maintain the body temperature, isn't it? So, these are the functions of lipids in the human body. Now, it is also providing the cushioning effect around the organs, important organs, vital organs like heart, kidneys, liver, lungs, isn't it? These are the important vital organs of our body, and these organs remain at a fixed position, at the same position, even though we're jumping, we get jerks, right? In spite of that, all our organs are protected, they're saved because they are having all the cushions around them. Those are made up of fats. So these organs are protected by fats layers around our organs. Now these fats are also important because they are the important constituent in the formation of hormones. Now you know male hormones and female hormones. Male hormones like aldosterone and testosterone, female hormones like progesterone and estrogen. In the formation of these hormones also you will see these lipids are playing very important role. Now here you will see that it is a major components in the formation of cell membrane, and which we called as phospholipids. Okay, so the cell membrane which is formed with the help of these lipids, so that is a very important function of these lipids in our body. Not only that, it helps to regulate the blood pressure and blood clotting in the human body. So these are the various functions of lipids in human body. Here we'll see another important nutrient, that is vitamins and minerals. Vitamins itself is what? It's vital amines. They are very important. Now you know that these vitamins and minerals, they require by our body in a very small quantity, but their presence is very important. Their functions are very important in our body, and that is why they need to be present in our body. Now these vitamins and minerals, they are essential for maintaining the cell structure as well as for metabolism. These vitamins are actually classified into two groups. One is fat soluble vitamin and the other one is water soluble vitamin. As I said earlier slide, fat soluble vitamins means fats are essential to absorb these vitamins. Okay, and those vitamins are vitamin A, D, E and K, whereas water soluble vitamins are vitamin B and vitamin C. Fat soluble vitamins are very important as they perform various functions in our body like the eyesight. Here you will see the glow of skin you are getting. Here you will find that blood clotting, for that we need vitamin K. To remove the sterility in the cells we need vitamin E, and that is how this vitamins will be absorbed only when the fats are present, right? Now in the next slide we'll see the other important nutrient of human body, that is water. Now here you will see that water is having various functions. Water is life, right? And that is why at least we should consume, how much of water we must drink in a day? At least 2 to 3 liters of water we must drink. and when in the summer season we can even drink more than that, isn't it? Because in summer we perspire, we sweat, and we give out this water, and that is why to have balance and to have all the other functions to be regulated in our body, we need to consume at least 2 to 3 liters of water on a regular basis. Now, what are the functions of this water? As I said that this blood, which carries all the nutrients, it carries oxygen, even it carries some waste materials, and this blood is getting liquidity, fluidity because of the plasma, and plasma is getting fluidity because of the water. That is what we can say, that this water is life, which is carrying all these functions. This is carrying, it is flowing in our blood, okay, in the form of blood in our body, and it is carrying all the nutrients to the different cells and different organs of our body. Not only that, it regulates our body temperature, as I said, in summer by sweating, by perspiring. It helps to eliminate all the toxic and waste substances from our body. It also helps for the brain to regulate its actions because it composes nearly 75% of water in our brain, right? Now here you will see that it gives a cushioning effect to our joints, and that is why water is a very important nutrient for us. With that water, I said we should even have fibers, because fibers also helps to eliminate all the toxic and waste substances from our body. Now fibers are actually accompanied with carbohydrates. Whenever we take in carbohydrate, we should see that we get fibers along with that. With some vitamins and minerals, we can get fibers in the form of leafy vegetables and in the fruits, right? So these fibers are not getting digested by our body. They are, actually having cellulose, which is not digested by our body, as we do not release cellulase enzyme, as this enzyme is released in the bodies of other animals by appendix. And you have studied in chapter 1 that appendix has become what? Non-functional organ, vestigial organ in human body, because we learn to eat the cooked food, and that is why these fibers we get in a very less proportion as it is in our diet, but we should have them so that it will not get digested, but it will help to eliminate all the toxic waste substances from our body. And that is why fibers also I have included here as an important nutrient. Next topic, we are going to study about cell division in human body. Now students, here cell is a basic unit of life, right? Now in this cell, if we see the structure, what do you see prominently? That is the nucleus, and nucleus is controlling the activities of the cell. Now in this nucleus, what do we have? We have chromatin fibers, and these chromatin fibers are very thin and long structures. But when these cells get mature, they get grow, they start duplicating, means cell division. Okay, why do they want to do that? Because there are so many unicellular organisms, they are surviving, and their next generations are also surviving by reproducing asexually, means the cell duplication or cell division. And for that purpose, the cell is having that basic instinct to grow, to mature, and to duplicate, isn't it? So that is what is happening, cell division every now and then. And that is why in our body also, even though we are multicellular organisms, worn out cells are there, dead cells are there, we remove them, we scrub our skin and we remove all the dead cells, and the new cells are forming. These new cells are always keep on forming because of the cell division, isn't it? So in this nucleus, what happens? These chromatin fibers are start, they start condensing, means they come close to each other, and this, this chromatin fibers become short but thick and prominently seen, when they come close to the cell division, as the cell is mature, and then this cell is further, you know, getting divided into two daughter cells in unicellular organism, that we will see later. Now here what happens inside the cell, that you will see here. The cell which is having this chromatin fibers, they become condensed and they coiled, okay, and they form this, two uh, chromatid fibers which are getting closed, bound together by the centromere. And here if you unwind that coil, you will find that it is like a double helical structure of DNA. So DNA is present where? In the chromosome. It is there where? In the chromatin fibers. And the segments which are present on the DNA, they are nothing but what? They are genes. And you know that genes are carrying what? Hereditary information from parents to the offsprings. So that is how, all that is where it is hidden inside the nucleus. All this magic is hidden inside the nucleus. Okay, that how, why we are looking exactly like our parent, why my father is so fair and I am not so fair, why my mother has got a talent of singing but I do not have that talent, or I have that talent. So all these things, that all magic is where it is hidden inside the nucleus, and it is in the genes. Now here you will see that in the cell you will find that this chromatid fibers will come close, they will get bound by the centromere, and the chromosomes will be forming. Now we'll see in the next slide here mitosis and meiosis. Now what is mitosis and meiosis? These are the two types of cell division which takes place usually in all the living organisms. Now mitosis is a type of cell division which takes place in autosomes or in the somatic cells of the body, whereas meiosis is a type of cell division which takes place in only germ cells or stem cells. In mitosis you will find that the number of chromosomes are doubled, duplication takes place, and the parent cell retain the same number of chromosomes. Whereas in meiosis, there is a halving of chromosomes takes place. Now what and how it is happening, that we are going to see in this mitosis. So mitosis is the type of cell division which is having two types. Actually, it is having two phases. So those two phases are karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Now karyokinesis means the nuclear division. So nucleus is divided, okay, and this process is little longer process which has got 4 stages, right? So these 4 stages of karyokinesis are prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. Now what is exactly prophase? What happens in the prophase? Prophase is the first stage in this cell division. So what happens in that cell division means actually it is a nuclear division. So in prophase, the chromatin fibers, those are very thin and thread like fibers, they come close and they form a thick structures. As I can say that they become thick and stout, okay, short and stout structure like chromosomes are formed with the centromere. At the same time, the centrioles are pulled towards the poles of the cell, right, and the nuclear membrane starts disappearing in the prophase. When the cell this enters into the next stage, that is a metaphase, here you will find that from the centromeres to the centrioles. Centromere is what? It is the center of the chromosome. From the center of the chromosome to the centrioles, the proteinaceous fibers, which we called as spindle fibers, are formed, and these chromosomes are held by these spindle fibers in the middle of the cell, that we can say at the equatorial plane, isn't it? There is no such equator and poles here, we just say that the middle line is equatorial pole. isn't it, in the metaphase. So what is the change you find in metaphase? That the nuclear membrane is completely disappeared. Spindle fibers are formed in between the centrioles and the centromeres, and all the chromosomes are hanged in the middle plane, right? That is equatorial plane. These changes we observe in the metaphase. Next phase is anaphase. In anaphase, what happens? These chromosomes are splitted from centromere and they are pulled by the spindle fibers towards the poles. And when they pulled towards the poles in the opposite directions, they look like the bunch of bananas, right? And in this stage, you will find that slowly and slowly the formation of what? Nuclear membrane starts. Then the next phase comes, that is telophase. In telophase, you will find that the chromosomes are again getting decondensed, means they become again thin fibers, right? And a prominent nuclear membrane starts forming around these two sets of chromosomes at the two poles. So prominently you can see that there are two different nucleus are formed inside the cell having what? The chromatin fibers. And later on, after telophase, the cytokinesis starts, means the division of cytoplasm starts. And in the cytoplasm, the notch occurs, and this notch goes on increasing and splitting that cell into two daughter cells, each having a nucleus in it, isn't it? So that is how this mitosis is completed in the cell. Next to that, it comes meiosis. In meiosis, you will find that there are two phases. Meiosis is also a very important cell division which takes place in the stem cells or in the germ cells. And here there are two phases, phase 1, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is having a very long prophase, right? Very long prophase. It has got nearly 5 stages. And ultimately, it is forming the two daughter cells with half number of chromosomes. That I can explain you here in the next diagram. Okay, here you can see in meiosis what happens. Suppose a cell which is having 2n number of chromosomes, it undergoes meiosis 1. In meiosis 1, having the number of chromosomes takes place, right? And the two daughter cells are produced. Each one is having 1n chromosome, means single chromosome in each, right? Now, these two daughter cells will undergo meiosis 2. This meiosis 2 is actually similar to the mitosis. Now what happens here in meiosis 2 and mitosis also, there is a retention of the number of chromosomes takes place. Means what? The number of chromosomes will be duplicated, and then after duplication, the daughter cells will be given the equal number of chromosomes, right? So when here in this daughter cell, you will find that there is 1n chromosome, so it is duplicated, that means it has got 2n number of chromosomes, and then when it is splitted into two daughter cells, each daughter cell will get 1n chromosome, right? So the number of chromosomes are retained and the same number of chromosomes are given to the daughter cells in meiosis 2, right? So this is how in meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 all together at the end we get 4 daughter cells but having half number of chromosomes, right? Whereas here you will see in mitosis there are 2n number of chromosomes in the parent cell. When this parent cell undergoes a cell division, mitotic division, it will duplicate that 2n, means it will duplicate means 4n will form, and then it gets splitted into two daughter cells. So each daughter cell will have 2n number of chromosomes, right? So in mitosis there is a duplication of chromosomes, whereas in meiosis there is a halving of chromosomes. Means in mitosis we get what? Diploid zygote is formed, and here in meiosis haploid zygote is formed, right? Having half number of chromosomes than the parent cell, right? Now here you will find that mitosis and meiosis, these are the two important cell processes, cell divisions, which continuously going on in our body, right? Whenever we get any injury, any wound, how the injuries or the wounds are healed, how the marks are healed properly, and we get the skin back, that is all because of the cell division, that is mitotic cell division. The skin is reformed again, isn't it? So this wear and tear is continuously going on, and that is why this cell division is also playing very important role in our body. Now this cell division will be able to perform its function properly only when you have a proper diet, you have a proper nutrition, you have a proper nutrients in your diet, then only this wear and tear, healing the wounds will occur in a appropriate manner. That is why I told you initially that all these life processes are interdependent, they are interrelated to one another, and that is why all my dear students see that this is a very important topic for examination point of view. You need to memorize it properly. Here I would like to end this session. Thank you so much.